wanted to do a video of kind of like what it's like to be a car salesman in, I guess, the 21st century. It's a lot different than, I guess, from what you guys probably think of what it's like back in like the early, like a few decades ago, before there's like a huge internet presence for car buying. It was kind of just all, you know, you see them in all like the movies and everything of what like a car salesman looks like. It's usually some kind of like little sleazeball, shady, that kind of stuff. And while I mean it's definitely still around, it's definitely a lot different. Certain dealerships you're working at, it's going to be a lot more professional, because I mean some of the brand that you're selling is, I mean, no one's going to tolerate you if you're like noticeably like a sleazeball and that kind of stuff. I mean, I feel like it's an interesting career choice. Obviously, I mean, first of all, I never planned on really starting to do or get into car sales, and I don't know how long I'm going to stay in here. I just know for now, I mean, I'm doing pretty well in it right now. Getting a lot of experience. Definitely wanted to stay at a job without moving around so many times, just because I feel like that's just good experience to kind of stay at a single place as long as it makes sense for you. What does a typical day look like? Typical day can be pretty different. It can be you're busy, you got a lot of appointments and clients that you're trying to talk to, questions being answered, like people have questions like about the vehicle you're trying to sell. Obviously you're gonna have customers that are gonna need service that you've sold them a car to. So usually sometimes, I mean, that all falls in like one time and you're just completely slammed. And you're just running around, grabbing cars, trying to sell a car. At the same time, sometimes you need to help out a service customer that you've sold the car to because they have questions. Other days, you're literally just sitting like at your computer, walking around, doing nothing. I mean, not nothing, but you're like sending out emails, trying to talk to some customers, that kind of stuff. I mean, we go some days with literally making like no money. Like today, Sunday, it was really nice out. So I'm assuming everyone else was, you know, outside on the water, doing outdoor activities and stuff. And it was dead. We're just sitting there doing nothing for like 6 hours. I mean, it was terrible. But I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. Sometimes you got days where you have a lot of stuff going on and it's busy. Obviously, it's me and like 8 or 9 other people. Today was just completely dead. There's no one there, and that's just how it is. I mean, does that like tank your head? Yes, because you're like, well, what am I doing here? I literally just sat here for 7 hours and I make $1. I just sat there and basically was trying to figure out how I'm going to sell a car and just didn't do it. But that's kind of the game. I mean, it's where I work, it's 100% commission, so you don't make any money unless you sell a car. I mean, it can be rough. It's worth it in the end, just because obviously you're not going to go every day of the month selling a car. I mean, that'd be nice, but some days you're sitting there like you're not selling a car, you're doing other stuff that's not making you money, you're following up but it's not making you money, you're maybe preparing for something else you're trying to do for the next day to sell a car. But like, you'll go days where you aren't selling a car, and when that stacks up, sometimes it happens where you go 2, 3, 4 days, a week without selling a car. I mean, that gets you pretty depressed. I mean, it happens to anyone, or happens to everyone. It happens to me semi-frequently. I went last month going through like a week or two without doing anything selling a car, and I was literally just sitting there. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I've been here for 5 days and I haven't made $1. And it's just like, when you think about it that way though, it really gets into your head. I gotta stay in the sun, I guess. But I mean, at least in auto sales, like the kind of the effort and the time and like hustling that you do there, I mean, it pays off. Like where I work, it definitely pays off. We have people go without making any money for, you know, what I said, a few days, a week, 2, if you're really on like a bad dry spell, and you can make up your paycheck in like a weekend. And I used to not believe that, just because I was like, well, how do you do that? But it's true. I mean, you can have 1, 2 deals just go through on the same day. Just a customer who just comes in and they're like, hey, I want to buy a car. And it's just A to Z. It's just, hey, I show them the car. You literally just walk them through there. Do you know what they want? And it's done. And that's, I mean, that process there is anyone could do that. It's not like rocket science. And you can make your paycheck depending on what kind of car. I mean, we sell like pre-owned cars, but mostly like new Land Rovers and Range Rovers and Jaguars. It's pretty different. Obviously, you're gonna have a different clientele from if we sell like a $10,000 Honda Accord versus like a $200,000 Range Rover. I mean, you got to adjust to that too. It's good experience that way because you're learning how to talk to people, how to interact with people, and that's why I think in like a sales environment too. I mean, it's good experience. I'm like fresh out of school. I've been here since I got out of school, and I've learned so much knowledge just from like coworkers and managers that they've taught me. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I came out of college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no experience, like work experience at all, and it showed when I first started there. I was just like fresh, just not knowing what I was doing there. But I kind of adapted there. Followed basically kind of what they're looking for to do, and it's been going pretty good ever since. Obviously, since the coronavirus hit here, we closed down for a few months. I stayed home for a few months too. That kind of threw me out of the swing. It was pretty rough. I got used to, you know, sleeping in every day, playing games, that kind of stuff. Found YouTube, which was cool. I finally decided, like, when I was at home, just stuck there, I was like, hey, I want to do something that's going to work towards me, working towards myself, working for myself. And I feel like that's YouTube, because I have a good passion for cars, bikes, that kind of stuff. And I feel like I could hopefully showcase that and kind of let you guys go along for the ride. So I have that to be thankful for. But going back to work after we opened back up, or after I came back to work in June, it was rough. I was not used to going back to work. I was ready to go back to work just because I like to be busy, and once I get into that busy mentality, I just keep coasting in there. But it was rough to go back to work 5-6 days a week, sometimes 7. And that's how it is though, especially when you're working here in like a commission field. Like when you're there, you're there working for yourself basically. So you're scheduled there for 8 hours, sometimes 12, but you're there for whenever. Like you can't have a mentality to be like, oh, I want to go home, and it's like, because you'll be counting the hours if you're in that mentality. You got to be just, hey, I'm there to work, and that's it. If I have to stay late, you have to stay late. That unfortunately like makes it hard for you to like plan stuff, for sure. Like if you plan a dinner or something, or to go out like hang out, go at the bars or whatever, do some kind of activities after work. I don't know how, but you're guaranteed to miss it. Yeah, I'd say it's definitely worth it. Like if you're fresh out of school and you're motivated and you're trying to be like a hustler, I mean, get into sales for sure. It doesn't have to be auto sales. I mean, there's so many other sales fields that you can do. But I mean, I would say maybe the auto industry is kind of maybe the easiest one to get into, just because they don't require so much experience. Obviously, you're not going to start at you're probably not going to start at like a Highline dealer. You got to kind of work your way up to that. I'm fortunate enough to actually get a spot in there, because I've seen how many people they turn down just because of the whatever lack of experience, or how much, like, if they feel like there's a connection there, because you're spending your entire time, your entire day, your weeks at work, and you spend more time with your coworkers than you do with like your family. And that's how it is if you're trying to do commission. I mean, commission has a huge payout. It's crazy how much you can make in like a commission field. I mean, what my manager says is you're literally just trading your time for money, and some people trade their time for money at a better rate. I've been fortunate enough. I mean, I have no problem spending 12-14 hours there if it means I'm going to sell a car and make more money than everyone else. And that's kind of like the mentality that I was in throughout my whole time here. I've been at that dealership for about 3.5 years. I've been fortunate enough to progress each year in terms of how much money I've made. For my first year, second year, the third year so far has been the best year, even with me being out for 2 months, sorry. So I mean, it's lucrative. And another question. I'm just gonna pacing around here too. I don't know if you can see that. There's this huge open parking lot. Just kind of walking around, enjoying the sun. Oh, positive mentality there. Yes, I feel like that works towards any job. But I mean, if you're trying to be successful there, you cannot be like negative. I mean, you'll go through a spree of, you can't sell anything, and you just feel like, yo, what am I doing? But you gotta just push past that. Like it happens to everyone. So as long as you stay positive, you're just like, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to work, I'm ready to do whatever, run around, find new prospects, just know what you have for sale, that kind of stuff. I mean, it helps a lot just to stay positive, because that attitude like definitely transfers to other people, and it definitely transfers to the customer. And that's something that I took away too from what they've told me, is like, hey, like my first year, 2 years, I don't want to say I hated the job, but I just hated not just being like sucky at it, and like it just tanked me. I was just like, dude, I need to like, I've looked at jobs like so many times just out of like a reaction, just because like, hey, I'm stuck in here, I must be doing something wrong. So like it was terrible. But like you got to push past that, and it's helped. And being positive on a day-to-day basis too is just a good idea. There's no one wants to be around someone who's negative all the time, and like sure as hell a customer doesn't want to see you if you're talking to a customer and you're like, if they can see that you're like visibly like angry or negative, like that vibe passes on to them, and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to be here, or I don't know if I'm ready to buy the car now. Like buying a car is usually emotional. Some people it's purely emotional. Sometimes, I mean, a lot of our cars aren't like cars like people are like, oh, I need this to commute in. Although in Washington it's a little different. A lot of people need their Range Rovers to drive around here, but a lot of our cars are just like emotion cars, like a bright red car, frenzy red, Range Rover Sport supercharged. Like people see that and they're like, oh my god, I need that car. And then that's how they'll try to do anything for that car. So it's, I mean, they want you to be happy, like feel like you're happy for them and that kind of stuff, and like you got to be excited for them too. You can't just be like, oh yeah, this is a cool car, yeah, it's a nice one, blah blah blah. It's like you gotta like I mean, some people like want to be pumped up. You're like, oh, look at this car's sweet, and it is, and you gotta believe that though. And being negative sure as hell is not gonna get you to do that. So what I found is just trying to be positive every single day, helping people. Even if you're not paid, you're literally paid to sell a car and to basically follow up with that customer, and just after the sales process, that's your job. So like, I mean, some people like will stick to that and just be like, oh, that's all I'm trying to do here. But it's like you need to be like a team player. You need to help your coworkers, even if you're not getting paid. But it's like, you need to be in that mentality if you want to be successful there, is what I've found out. I guess I didn't really go over how I got to this field. Field. I got out of school 2016 from Western Washington, school in Washington State, if you guys are familiar with the area. Moved back home, found the first job that I could find online, and it was at a Nissan dealer, non-sales. You're literally just like a product specialist. It was interesting working like in an hourly environment. You're only making money by the hour. I was only there for about 6 months. I had a sales manager who was working there, left, went to this other place, and he was like, hey, you should try it out. And I was like, try what out? And he was like, salesman here, it's all commission. And I was like, dude, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm trying to be in like a commission atmosphere. But he was like, oh, you should try it out. I mean, and at that point I was like, maybe I should just try it out. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I suck and then I just leave, I guess. But hey, if it works out, it works out. It happened. I started there. I mean, it was a rough start. But they kind of welcomed me in, gave me like a lot of good training, kind of just gave me idea and tips on how this place functions, because you definitely have to kind of conform to how they function. It is what it is. Like if you can't adapt and adhere to their standards and that kind of stuff, then you probably don't belong there. And that's the way it's happened for a lot of other people who no longer work there. But I mean, it worked out. I was enjoying it. I mean, it is fun I like cars too, and we at our dealership we're fortunate enough to have a lot of cool cars, just because our our general manager who buys all the cars, he's got a nice hookup to where he can buy cars at the auctions. He goes out and looks at cars in Canada because there's a huge market up there. I mean, around there you have so many like different access to cars that you think, like, we have the kind of a super unique inventory at our store for pre-owned, because the pre-owned stuff is cool. Like, it brings people in. They're like, oh cool, I didn't know you had this Lamborghini, or I didn't know you have this 2008 Dodge Viper with 2,000 miles on it. And it's just like, it's kind of like an icebreaker. And obviously there are people who do come in to look at and buy that car, but it's kind of just like a diverse selection. Like, people like driving on the side of the road literally come in because they're like, hey, I saw this cool Lamborghini, and then they come in and they're like, oh wow, you guys actually have sedans and coupes, and you guys have like 10 different SUVs, and it just goes on from there. So it's been a good place to work. It's helped me out. I mean, I've done stuff and bought stuff that I've honestly didn't think I was ever going to afford in my lifetime. And it's been a great experience. So I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. Obviously, I mean, my end goal is to work truly for myself. I want to be in an environment where I enjoy like doing like these videos, filming stuff for content and that kind of stuff. I'm still new to it. I'm like a month and a half into this, so that's why I'm still getting used to holding a camera / talking to a camera. I've learned a lot from there too, and it's great. I've been pretty much just learning by myself, YouTube videos on kind of like how to start up your channel and all that stuff. But it's been good experience. It's hard to talk to yourself on a camera while looking at a camera, and honestly that's kind of why I didn't do it for so long, because I was like, oh dude, I cannot talk to myself in front of a camera while standing around. But I feel like that's something you just get used to. I can like talk to, like, before I even started working here at where I work, I was super shy, could barely talk to people, and that's just kind of how I grew up. I just grew up super shy, not extremely social. Like, I had good friends because I played sports and video games and all that kind of stuff in high school and thereon. Like, talking to people just never really came like natural to me, and like working there at where I work now has helped a lot with that, just because obviously you're talking to people. So that's definitely helped a lot. If you guys have any questions about what the auto industry's like, anything like that, I'd be more than glad to kind of share it with you guys, just because I feel like it's not really a topic that a lot of people talk about. I don't know if they just don't care, if they just feel like they already know all the stigmas and all the stereotypes about it. But I mean, it's a good place to work if you want experience and you want to hustle to make some money. So, and you don't really need any experience to start out with too, which is nice. I wouldn't take that for granted. If you're looking for experience and a good job to start out because you're a hard worker, I mean, do not discredit working there, like an auto store. It may not be the right one. You may switch around a few times to find the right one, but when you do, I think it'll be a good experience for sure. That's it. I hope you guys liked the video. We'll see. Maybe if you guys have some questions, I can do that on the next video or whatever. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Only if you liked my videos. If you didn't like my videos, don't like or subscribe. That's my car. That is my baby. I'm figuring out what to do to her too. I don't know if we're going performance. Thinking maybe some kind of performance mods. I don't know if I want to do a pulley and a tune. I feel like a pulley and a tune would be pretty nasty. I get an extra, maybe about 60 horsepower realistically out of a pulley and a tune. It's just the parts. Obviously, it's a British car. Parts are not cheap. If you do want to buy any parts that are not pieces of crap, they're always usually overseas. Like, I've been looking at, I'm actually going to pop the hood for you guys. I've been looking at like intakes for a few days, and they're so expensive. I don't know if that's the norm. Like, a good intake is like $2,000. Honestly, I'm not too sure. I kind of want to just do some tasteful stuff to it, like black out these badges, or get black badges. I'm trying to see if they even have black badges. they've been a little hard to find, like good ones, is having this. They have a carbon fiber option for this kind of hood vent right here, and then right here. Like, I feel like those two replace those with like a gloss black carbon would look really cool. It'd give like the hood a little more contrast. I mean, it already looks good right here. Like this, like, oh yeah, right here. I love that. But it would give it a lot more contrast on the hood. But I don't know. If you guys think I should do something cool to it too, let me know. All I've done so far is tint everything and then new wheels. There's some gloss black wheels. I went with an all-season tire just because it's more practical for the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, as I said before, sorry I went on a little ramble there, but I caught my car in the background of this camera, so whoops. But yeah, let me know. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. That's it. Have a good day. I'm out. I'm gonna get some food.